All right, word of the week, scapegoat. After I did the Cracker Barrel video yesterday, two coordinators of NFL teams found themselves without jobs after they were fired that day. Brandon, OIAS, host of Outsider Information. When I do the head coach firing videos, those are described as this is the last resort button to hit because things are so bad, they're not going to get better, they're only going to get worse if we keep this guy around. We have to do it. When it's an assistant coach that gets fired, typically it is a scapegoating maneuver, right? Self-preservation, usually by somebody who is trying to protect their job. We've seen a couple instances where it's worked. Joe Brady, when he took over for Ken Dorsey of the Bills a couple of years ago, that worked. And the 2012 Ravens, when Cam Cameron was fired, Jim Caldwell took over, they won a Super Bowl. So it's not without precedent, but typically it does not have many results, and it just prolongs the inevitable, which is going to be a full reboot. The Giants, I understand why. They're 2-10. They've had multiple defensive collapses. But the reality is this has been a problem the last couple of years. Wink Martindale was fired in 2023 with some defensive issues. Shane Bowen, who was fired yesterday, took over, and they were picking third in the draft last year. They're 2-10 this year. So if you're going to ask me what the issue is, seems more systemic. Joe Shane is sticking around to help with the new coaching search. I will let you be the judge there. Like I said in the video where Daboll was fired, the Giants are the Jets with better history. So we've got that. The curious one is the Las Vegas Raiders. Chip Kelly being fired says a lot of things. One, he was the highest paid coordinator in the NFL. They lured him away from Ohio State where he just won a national championship and then fired him basically 2/3 of the way in. That's weird. Pete Carroll's second tenure or fourth tenure as a head coach, not going great. And there's a deeper dive to do on that. Tease there to be determined. But where I want to put the focus on is Tom Brady. And we've seen this once before where the greatest of their sport became an owner in Michael Jordan with the Charlotte Hornets, and it didn't go great. Tom Brady certainly has influence with the Raiders. And to just assume that because he is the greatest quarterback of all time with the most championships of all time, that he was going to turn the Raiders into a winner, a little bit foolhardy. And I think he has a lot of questions to answer as to why now, who's really calling the shots, and ultimately, what does this all mean for what's in place right now? Because the Raiders have been bad for quite some time, and because a lot of this instability that exists. Firing the coordinator a year in after paying him a ton of money, not a good look. And again, it speaks to the broader dysfunction that exists, certainly that has existed with the Raiders, and potentially even more, handing the keys over to Tom Brady and letting him do what he thinks is best without having any experience. So, as always, we'll keep track of this stuff. Like, subscribe, engage. See you next time.